The Dambusters Lancaster. Find out how I finished mine right here on Gary's Stuff. Hello there, I'm Gary, welcome to my channel. Welcome back if you've been here before. Today I am finishing my kit of the Avro Lancaster, the Dambusters Avro Lancaster in 1/72 scale from AIRFIX. Now you'll remember from the last video, if you saw it, that we left the kit, essentially the main part of the build done, ready for paint. So in this video I'm painting it. I'm doing the gun turrets, the bomb obviously, doing some weathering, the undercarriage, putting the whole thing together, adding a few finishing touches, and that is it. This will be the completion of the kit. Now, if you've got a kit and you want to know how to start it, the first video is the best place to kick off from. If you're thinking of buying one, even if it's the 2023 kit, because remember, these are absolutely identical apart from the decals, then why not check out my box opening video, which also has a little bit of history of the Dambusters raid as well. Or just watch all of them, because it's fun. I don't mind. Anyway, if you enjoy any of my videos, please do remember, give them the Imperial thumbs up on the like button below. And if you haven't done so yet, please subscribe to the channel, hit that bell, and you'll be notified of all my future videos as they are released. And if you want to offer a bit more concrete support, you can do that by becoming a channel member, by super thanks, or by any of my online partner programs, which includes the AIRFIX affiliate program. Now if you click on that link in the box below, go to the AIRFIX online store, buy anything at all, then AIRFIX at no extra cost to you will make a small donation to the running of this channel, which is very nice. Anyway, let's pick up now where we left off from this Lancaster, see it through all the way to the finish.
Right, so what I've done is I've masked off the primary canopy area, finished masking off here, done just a tiny little bit of filling of these tiny little cracks here, just with a filling paste, not with proper full-time filler. What I will do is spray this whole area in black first, the black primer, and then finish the whole prime on the whole aircraft. That means when the paint is done, from the inside, the structures here will look black, which is quite cool. Same reason I'm doing the transparencies for the gun turrets now. Make sure they're primed in black so they look like black from the rear side from the inside when they're done. So I've given it a final coat of primer, so we've got primer grey over the black for the cockpit, so it will all come through the same colour. And then we can just start on the upper works by spraying on some dark earth, some British Standard Dark Earth BS 450. So I've done the first coat of colour, I've done the dark brown, I've given that a coat of varnish as well to seal it in, and now I've covered the bits I want to stay brown with masking putty like this, and I can spray on now the dark green. First part of the rear turret here is this piece here. Just sets in the base, like so. And just make sure all these bits are painted black properly before I go any further. Right, so for this turret, the front piece just slots in. Actually, it's the back piece if you think about it, but the this piece here anyway slots in over the exit chutes there, and the back piece clips on the back, and we'll just use extra thin cement to secure these. Then you can put the guns into the tail turret, 2 on each side. For the nose turret, first of all we put the guns on the cradle here. Then we put the rest of the mounting. It goes on top of the cradle. Get better angle on this. Goes on top of the cradle like so, and then slots into the base of the turret like so. Then the front of the turret goes on. You've got to feed the guns through here. It's a little bit tricky. Let's poke them up a little bit. Then the glass can sit on the front half of the base like so, and then the rear of the turret it's difficult to grab the rear of the turret, if I'm honest. There we go. Rear of the turret just sits on the back like this, and we use some extra thin cement to bind the whole lot together. So we've put on the green now. I've varnished the whole thing. I would say that the varnish I've used I'm not happy with. I used the Vallejo gloss varnish first. I have a lot of trouble getting that on and doing it. I've followed the Vallejo instructions and and it seemed to work. Left it to dry, and then I masked the top surface off so I could do the black underneath, and when I took the mask off, half the varnish came with it, so I've had to re-sand that down, use some 5000 grit paper just to sand it all down, get it nice and even again. Then I've used Army Painter gloss varnish, thinned down a bit with airbrush thinner, and that seems to be the better option. So that's what I've done. The thing I'm going to do now is start putting the decals on, and then once those are on, I can start settling them in and start doing a bit of panel washing and weathering. Then this front of the two lines, this and this panel line here, are the alignment essentially for the main roundel. So get that lined up at the end of that black line, the upper but forward black line if you like, and just on the edge of this panel line here, and that is the position of your roundel. And just do the same for the other side. While I'm doing other things as well, waiting for the things to dry, what I can do is start doing a bit of texturing or shading inside this, inside the flaps here. While I'm waiting for other things to dry, like decals and so on and so forth, I can do a bit of shading work. I can start putting some wash inside these flaps. For example, I've got having the flaps open, so just want to put a bit of a wash in that. Now I've already put some water down on the piece, and then I'm just applying little drops of the wash, diluted wash. That looks really dramatic. It will dry a lot lighter than this, so you can in fact go back and do it over again. Also remember that things need more contrast when they're at small scale. There's a scale effect, so if you do things very naturalistically, then when you stand back you just won't see them. So don't be afraid to put a little bit on, and also remember you can take it off before you do any varnishing. because this is very much water based, you can take it off afterwards. So again, just give it a bit of water, give a splash of water on first. Don't be too shy with the water because it's going to dry. It's acrylic paint that's dry anyway, so the paint's not going to come off. And just then apply some wash, let it sort of soak through, and then sort of guide it along a bit if you want as well. Like this. As I say, remember you can rinse this off, you can use a wet brush to pick some of it up. And it will dry considerably lighter than what you see on here. So don't worry. If it's like this, it's sort of this just looks a bit like staining, so I wouldn't worry about that. Yeah, don't worry. If it looks a bit rough, it'll just look like staining. In fact, you can actually encourage that stain. Because these, remember, these insides of the flaps are going to be filthy a lot of the time. There's stuff being kicked up by the engines, by the wheels and everything else. So don't worry about it. Just, yeah, that's all we do. Just do those for all the flaps. Onto the bottom, or the upkeep mine itself. The main body comes in two halves, and then there are two end caps that go on. Two halves fit together quite nicely, and just a little bit of extra thin on the insides to keep them in place. Then when it's ready, you can put in the end caps with a bit of extra thin as well. Make sure the seams are done nicely, and then repaint. For the panel lines, I'm just applying a simple wash here. It's a Ammo by MIG black panel line wash. A lot of the time you can just let it sort of chase down the lines yourself. Don't need to help, but you can just sort of help it along the lines a little bit. You do put quite a lot on in a way, but then we're going to rinse the stuff off the surface later with a bit of a cotton bud in some white spirit. So just let this sort of wash along the panel lines first, and then we'll clean it up a bit later on. And for the black parts of the aircraft, obviously you can't use black because it won't show up. So what I'm using is this stone grey that kind of fills in instead. It kind of gives the highlight. Normally what you're doing is creating a low light, a shadow. But this is in giving the effect of a highlight on the edge of the panel. So just a very sort of pale grey, really. Not pale grey, sorry, middle grey. That's, but it's really effective. Very, very effective. And when the panel wash is dried, give it a couple of hours, I'd say. Then you can go over the piece with a cotton bud or something like this, but it's got to be quite flat so it doesn't get into the panel line, basically. If you just use a tissue or something, it'll go into the panel line and lift out what you spent so long putting on. But there you go, you can then just wipe off the excess and your panel line is there. The tail wheel is in two halves. Everything's in two halves. Just go together like this, and we'll just tidy up these parts where we've taken them off the sprue. Now, if you remember, we didn't actually glue these down. We just tabbed put in a little bit of PVA to hold them in place so that we could take them off for this moment, which is putting the undercarriage in. So first of all, and the only reason why I've had to do it this way is that the undercarriage main leg goes in through the top and then glues into the spar there. Then this brace goes in right at the very bottom and at the back of the wheel well. Then there are two arms that come from here and they connect with they connect underneath this sort of elbowy thing here, like that. Then this ram here fits underneath this part here, and that's what makes it all quite secure. So there we are, that's a completed gear bit. Now I have to say the bit I found trickiest was getting this this ram piece here to connect to this whilst this was in the right line, but you know, you just have to sort of take it as it comes, really. Possibly put the ram roughly in place, put this roughly in place, then put the main strut here into place, then on top of this elbow piece here, and then into the back there. It's probably the order to do it in. It is really quite fit. It's surprisingly fiddly, actually. And whilst we've got the plane upside down, we might as well put the flaps on. These have a housing, track housing that goes here and sort of sits up against the back of the engine nacelle here. On the, if you're having the flaps stowed, flaps up, this piece here is different, and it just forms a nice sort of straight cone with these flaps down. What is very useful is that this then gives you the angle to use for the outer flap segment as well, which is really good news. Right, for the bomb assembly, first of all, the mounting legs go in the small holes we drilled right at the beginning when we had the fuselage open. Then there is this support structure on the inside of the air bomb bay. This kind of sits in here and then about halfway along, pretty much where the hole is actually, looking at it, and then play the game here. Come and play the game. The thing I would say is that, you know, they tell you to make this hole, and the hole is actually considerably bigger than the part needs. It's difficult to find that thing after a while. Right, so then this brace comes in here as well. There we go. Yes, that's it, like so. That sits in there. Then, of course, you put the one on the other side. There it goes there. There. With the brace piece there, and then we can let that just catch a little bit, if you know what I mean, just grab a little bit, then we'll put the bomb in the middle. So the drive goes in here and then settles with the It's a very complicated little bit of engineering, this. There we go, that goes into there, that goes into that, that goes into the middle of that pulley there. Now the bomb itself then goes into this end in the drive wheel and that end into the other clamp. Yeah, pretty much like that actually. Yeah, that'll do. No, it won't. No, it won't. That's not quite tight enough. There we go, like that. That will do. We can put the wheels on as well, but don't glue them at the moment because we're going to set the flat spot of the weighting in a little bit. Just make sure they move. We can also put the gear doors on as well. They have little tabs at the front and back, and then there's an arm that reaches over. Yeah, front and back. Come on, there we go. And there's an arm that reaches over to the gear leg. Attaches to the gear leg as like a kind of actuator. With the undercarriage on, we can replace this panel at the behind each inner engine, and this time glue it in place. At the front of the plane, I'm going to put the nose turret into place, like so. Then the fillet piece that we kept can also go in place. The rear turret can go on as well. On each engine we put a base plate. We put a propeller. Then we put a propeller boss on top. And we can just go around and touch up the black on these, the back of each spinner. And pretty much the last thing to do is to just take off these paper masks. Just lift the corners with, say, a toothpick or something like that. And then gently take off each mask element with a pair of tweezers. And just work our way over all the glassware doing the same thing. For the characteristic smoke trails over the wing, I'm figuring this is a relatively young aircraft. When Joe McCarthy took it on the dams raid, it hadn't done hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of hours. It's relatively new, so I'm going to keep the smoke not too heavy. I'm using a smoke powder. Actually, the powder's called Smoke. Comes from a set from Humbrol. Actually, it was given last year by AIRFIX when we went to see them. Given it by Humbrol, technically, I suppose. You can see blanks that have done more flights that have got really huge plumes of stuff all over the wings, but I'm not going to go too crazy on this. When it's done, you can overspray it with another coat of matte varnish, of course, but just gently build it up and then think, okay, well, that looks okay. I might put some more colouring in there later, maybe a bit of brown later, but just go through behind each engine first at a relatively low level, and then if you want to build it up some more, build it up some more, but don't overdo it. Then once I've got the smoky grey stuff in, I just dabble in a little bit of dark brown. Just a sort of that sort of oily sort of feel to it, really. It gives just a little bit of oily colour.
So there we have it, the 1/72nd scale Avro Lancaster Dambuster Special by AIRFIX. Really not a lot to say about this kit that's bad. Most of the fit is very good, most of the sort of thought processes are pretty good. There's not too much detail, there's enough detail if you need it, I guess. Yeah, I actually just really enjoyed making the kit. It's a lengthier build than I imagined it would be, even though I've already made a Lancaster before. But yeah, parts go together well, follow the instructions, and yeah, it all goes together very nicely. I'm very, very happy with the result. Hope you are too. There it is then, the Dambusters Lancaster from AIRFIX. If you've enjoyed the show, and I really hope you have, please do remember, give it the imperial thumbs up on the like button below. Every like counts. And of course, if you haven't done so yet, please subscribe to the channel, hit the bell, and you'll be notified of all my new videos as they crop up, no matter what the subject may be. In any case, thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you very soon. Take good care. Bye now.